This is the blowing hot and cold experiment. Okay, I'm going to show you how you can blow hot and cold at the same time. Props are simple. Me, and in your case, you. And in fact, what you need is just a bit of your arm, okay? I'm going to use this part of my arm here. You can use the back of your hand, but we're going to use our arm for this experiment. A bit of a clue about variable. What I want you to do, really simple on this one, what I want you to do is very gently blow on the back of your arm and notice the temperature. Just really breathe onto it, just like a bit of a heavy breathing. And actually, it might be better if you pucker your lips and blow with that sort of force. Just gently. While you're blowing, I want you to notice the temperature you can feel. Okay, then once you've done that, I want you to lick your arm. Now, if you're not keen on doing that, you can get a bit of a cloth with a bit of wet on it, water, and just wipe it. Or get someone else to lick your arm if you really want to. But I'd suggest lick it yourself, as long as you've got a clean arm. It's not a problem, is it? So lick your arm, or use a bit of a cloth and make it wet, and blow in exactly the same way as best you can. Do it again. And I want you to notice how it feels that time. Off you go. Right, if you've done what I asked you to do, what I'm hoping you noticed was when you had a nice dry arm and you blew just gently, or even just breathed, particularly when you breathe, it feels slightly warm to me on my arm anyway. Okay, but when I lick it, and then do it again, particularly when I blow, it actually feels cooler. So when it was dry and I went, it felt slightly warm, and when I licked it and do it again, it felt slightly cooler. What's going on? Is the temperature of my breath changing? Well, no, the temperature of my breath wasn't changing. As long as I kept it the same amount of breathing, what I was noticing was my skin felt the temperature. Now, your skin can sense differences in temperature, but it can't tell you the actual temperature. It can only sense the difference. Actually, what your skin can do is sense heat and coldness. It can't really tell you how much they actually are. So when you blew on your skin, the temperature sensors in your skin could feel the amount of heat that was there from a gentle breath. And it would have been a certain temperature. Your breath may have been slightly cool. But when I licked it, blew it again, it felt cooler still. So however it felt at the start, when you blew it when it was wet, it should have felt a little bit cooler. So how come? How can it feel cooler just by wetting it? Well, obviously the water has something to do with it, clearly. Now here we have an explanation of one question you might have ever wondered: why do I sweat? Here's your experiment to prove it to you, okay? The reason it felt cooler is that because when you have water on your arm, as it dries, and it instantly starts drying off by what we call evaporation, some of that water is turning to vapour. As it turns to water vapour, it uses heat to do that. It sucks heat away from you as it turns from a liquid to a vapour. It sucks heat away from you. And think about it, if it sucks heat away, that must mean what's left is going to be cooler. So that's why when you get wet and you blew it, it felt cooler, because what you're actually doing by blowing it was you were making that water that you licked there evaporate even more quickly. By blowing it, you were adding energy to it, and it was making it evaporate even more quickly and blowing the vapour away so that more would evaporate, and that sucked even more heat away from your arm, and that's why it felt cooler still. But even now, my arm feels a little bit damp where I've just licked it while I've been talking to you, and even now it does feel a little bit cooler than it did before I licked it. So even when it's just drying like that, it's still taking heat away at the same time. And of course, that's what's happening when you're sweating normally. You don't go around blowing yourself, do you? You get sweaty, and the sweat then evaporates and turns into vapour, and as it does that, it takes heat away with it and it cools you down. Problem is, sweating only really works well when you've got the skin exposed and open so the water can evaporate away into water vapour. Where we get sweaty quite a lot with clothes on, like under our arms for example, and on our backs for example, The clothes stop the evaporation happening so well. And so you probably notice when you've been running around a lot and working really hard physically, you tend to sweat a lot and get quite wet under your arms and on your back. And that's because we are sweating, your body's doing what it thinks it should do, but really it's not working very well because all the water vapour has been trapped by our clothing. Okay, so that's why we sweat. So what about things we could change? Well, actually, I've already given you a couple of hints about that already, haven't I, when I talked about the clothing. So you've licked a bit which is covered. I wonder what would happen if you lick bits that you then quickly cover. I wonder what you'll notice and blow on them, of course. What about if you lick a bigger area, or remember, you don't have to lick if you're not keen on that. Get a little cloth, a wet cloth, and wet a bigger area and see how it feels. What about different parts of your body? Again, I've already given you a clue about that when I talked about under your arms and your back. What about if you repeat this experiment perhaps on that side of your arm or that side of your hand? And by the way, on my arm, lots of hairs you can easily see. And by the way, on your arm, you've got hairs too, even if you can't see them there, but there are hairs there. So maybe find a part of your body where you can't see the hairs so clearly. Now, on the palm of your hands and across your fingers, you shouldn't have any hairs unless you're a werewolf. So maybe try it there and see if that makes a difference from where you have no hairs compared to where you have absolutely lots of hair. I'll leave you to figure out a few more things you might try.